German tanks. A concept called Panzer was a weapon that radically changed the tactics and technology of the Second World War. They were considered not just machines, but from the proven means of the concept of the warlord ideology, blitzkrieg, instant war. German industry, engineering thinking, tactical school and command style made tanks an effective tool, but at the same time, logistics and production, material shortages, complex technical characteristics were also their weaknesses. Historical development of German tanks, a brief overview, 1920s–1945, 1920 to 1933. Although the Treaty of Versailles limited many innovations, Germany secretly developed its military industry. In the early 1930s, the expansion of the idea of developing armored vehicles and motorization began. 1934 to 1939, Panzer I and Panzer II were developed and introduced into the army. This period is the time of training, gaining tactical experience and testing the first blitzkrieg tactics. 1939 to 1941, Campaigns of Poland, 1939, France, 1940, victories proved the effectiveness of the Panzer. Initial victories cemented the Panzer as the main offensive tool. 1941 to 1943, attack on the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa, Panzer III/4-starred, Panther and Tiger were later introduced. 1943 to 1945, Kursk, 1943, Normandy, 1944, the popularity of heavy tanks, Tiger, King Tiger, and Panther grew. But production restrictions and logistics problems had a significant impact. The efficiency of the tank consists of several components: gun, firepower, the main gun caliber, ammunition, anti-panzer ability, armor, protection, thickness, shape, skosh, ballistic properties, mobility, engine power, road system, maximum speed, travelability, reliability and maintenance, the ability to repair, the overall complexity of the part, logistics, fuel consumption, lack of parts and ammunition, command and control system, radio communication, monitoring equipment, instruments. German tanks in most cases were highly priced through the first 5 factors, but logistics and reliability, on some heavy models, were weak points. Panzer I Initiator light tank, purpose, training, reconnaissance and maintenance of motorized divisions of the first 1930s. Weapon, 2 x 7.92 mm machine gun, Wisdom has low combat power. Armor, 8 to 13 mm, not good protection. Speed, about 37 km per hour. Weight, 5 to 6 tons. Usage, Poland 1939, France 1940, Panzer Is were used in the original offensive, but their role diminished as resistance grew. Importance, it was important for experience and headquarters operations, but it was too weak to perform the role of a real tank. Panzer II light attack tank. Weapon, 20 mm cannon, less effective against tanks, but suitable for reconnaissance. Armor, 14 to 30 mm. Speed, 40 km, h. Weight, 8 to 10 tons. Role, used in reconnaissance and light attacks in the initial stages, later transferred to rear support or intelligence. Advantage, fast and maneuverable. Disadvantage, could not compete with heavy tanks. Panzer III main medium tank, 1939 to 1943. Weapon, initially a 37 mm harpoon, in later modifications, a 50 mm high probing gun was installed. Armor, 30 to 50 mm, pre- and modified protection. Weight, about 20 to 23 tons. Speed, 40 km, h. Role, in 1939 to 1942 was the main counter-tank, main battle tank, of the German army. Various modifications of the Panzer III were also used as artillery support and commander vehicles. Changes, the Panzer III's 50 mm cannon was impressive from a long distance on some models, but after the arrival of the Panther and Tiger, it was technically far behind. Panzer IV Universal Workhogs. Weapons, 75 mm guns, first 75 mm KWK-37, later high-speed 75 mm length/48 and L/43 types. Armor, about 30 to 80 millimeters, made with modifications. Weight, 25 tons, depending on modification. Mobility, 40 kilometers per hour. Role, Panzer IV, the most produced German tank, originally conceived as an infantry support tank, but moved to the central role, main battle tank, and expanded its task, entering many modifications. Advantage, adapted for different tasks, widely used in the German Corps through full functional models. Panther, Panzer V, balanced medium-heavy tank. Weapon, 75 mm KWK 42 liters/70, very high initial speed and armored mobility. Armor, high protection efficiency due to the curved body panel, Roscotiani front armor. Weight, 44 to 46 tons. Speed, 46 kilometers per hour, on the road. Role, since 1943, Panther has become widespread after the battles in Kursk. Good balance, kept the gun/armor/speed triple. Problems, the initial series had mechanical reliability problems, support rollers, gearbox, but in general the tank was a very successful model. Tiger I, Panzer Vios E, heavy tank model. Weapon, 88 mm KWK 36 liters, 56 high efficiency against aviation and tank. Armor, 100 mm in front and side armor, very reliable protection. Weight, 54 tons. Speed, 38 kilometers, h. Role, created a great image and fear since 1942, especially excellent at destroying enemy light platforms. Disadvantages, very heavy, complex and fuel expert, it was difficult to repair and transport. Tiger II, King Tiger, Königstiger, the most severe defense. Weapon, 88 mm KWK 43 liters/71, very high probabilities. Armor, 150 mm along the grain and large surfaces, very high protection, but the weight reached 68 to 70 tons. Speed, about 38 kilometers per hour, on the road. Role, 1944 to 1945 has excellent defense in the arena, but consumed a lot of hardware resources, and weight was a big problem for roads and bridges. Result, strong in paint, in practice logistics and technical requirements limited it. Accurate technical comparison, brief table. Here is a brief indication of the main indicators, for a convenient comparison in a script or textbook. Panzer I, light, 2 machine guns, 5 to 6 t, 37 km per hour. Panzer II, light reconnaissance, 20 mm, 8 to 9 t, 40 km per hour. Panzer III, medium, 37 to 50 mm, 20 to 23 t, 40 km per hour. Panzer IV, medium, 75 mm, 25 to 30 t, 40 km per hour. Panther, medium heavy, 75 mm length/70, 44 t, 46 km per hour. Tiger I, heavy, 88 mm, 54 t, 38 km per hour. Tiger II, very heavy, 88 mm length/71, 69 to 70 t, 38 km per hour. Production, factories and economic constraints. Main manufacturers, Henschel, Tiger, MAN. Within the Panther plans, Krupp, assembly and weapons production, Nibelungen, participated in the production of Panther, Daimler-Benz, some components, Porsche, some projects. Numbers, approximate, Tiger I, 1,300, 1,400 pieces, Panther, 6,000 plus, Tiger II, 492, Panzer IV several thousand pieces. There are different reports. Restrictions, raw materials, steel, motors, manpower, Union bombing and the need to evacuate production, resource reserves, limited the release of more heavy tanks. Modifications, special machines, racks, units. The Panzer IV was modified to an artillery or composite modification and the Sturm Ordi was produced as a Stug, farm pit. Individual engineering modifications. Each division had a large number of local superstructure retrofits in real warfare, add-ons, real-world modifications. Tank destruction modules, isolated armored vehicles aimed at destroying tanks such as Jagdpanzer, Hetzer were also used. some were based on the Panzer IV chassis. Tactics: Blitzkrieg and tank operations. Blitzkrieg: fast, coordinated attack, aerial reconnaissance, aviation, Stuka, plus armored blades. Main components: the first blow is an unstoppable blow from aviation and artillery. Second strike: fast tank groups, panzer divisions, attack and break the line of defense. The third stage is a chain, link fence, infantry and logistics units secure defenses and occupy more advanced territories. Command system: radio communication is an important route of German tanks. Commanders were able to make operational decisions. Logistics and complexity of maintenance. Fuel: a big problem, especially for heavy tanks, was the problem of fuel supply on a wide front. Part and repair: spy strike, there was a shortage of parts when factories were bombed. Traffic infrastructure: heavy tanks destroyed bridges, road systems were out of order, transportation was difficult. The use of tanks in important battles, circumstances and results. Poland, 1939, Panzer I-2 in the main role, fast momentum and defense bypass tactics succeeded. France, 1940, Panzer III/4 was used in coordination and took advantage of the cheap square to win. Barbarossa attack on the Soviet Union, 1941. In the early years, panzers succeeded, however, winters and long distances led to the failure of general equipment. Stalingrad, 1942–1943. In a fierce struggle, the panzer was a little limited. Retracted logistics, as well as movement in vast cities, are difficult. Kursk, 1943. The largest tank battle, the first extensive use of Panther and Tiger, comprehensive defense and huge damage. Normandy, 1944. Tiger II and Panther had a strong impact on the resistance, but logistical difficulties and the dominance of aviation prevented them. Tank commanders and their adventures. Heinz Guderian, classic of German tank tactics, father of the Panzer Division, strategist of fast maneuvers, introduced radio and coordination of movement. Michael Wittmann, tank noble, famous for the actions taken on Tiger I. According to some reports, 138 tanks were destroyed, but these figures are discussed, and some may be overstated. Kurt Nispel, Otto Carius, other famous tankers, showed long experience and success in famous battles. Note: reports on individual achievements and the number of destroyed machines are heterogeneous, and subsequent research may re-evaluate them, but the reputation of these commanders was undoubtedly high. Advantages: strengths of German tanks. Technical power: powerful guns, 88 mm, 75 mm length/70, and effective burn probability. Command system: good radio communication and circuit control. Engineering solutions: coasted armor, powerful transmissions, optics for accurate battle. Flexibility and modification: it was possible to create many modifications from a single platform called Panzer IV. Disadvantages: weak points of German tanks. Logistics and fuel consumption, very high for heavy models. Production volume: in comparison with the Allied countries, some tanks were made in weak production volumes. Reliability: some models, the first series of Panther, was mechanically unreliable. High complexity: not easy to repair. Heavy maintenance. Post-war fate and legacy: in the post-war years, many German tanks were delivered to other countries for trade and research purposes. Tanks were a central element of military history and film scenes, for example, scenes of Tiger and Panther in many films. In the process of developing a modern tank, German engineering ideas, scoped armor, balance, are still studied and some principles are observed. German tanks: a concept called Panzer was a weapon that radically changed the tactics and technology of the Second World War. They were considered not just machines, but from the proven means of the concept of the warlord ideology, blitzkrieg, instant war. German industry, engineering thinking, tactical school and command style made tanks an effective tool, but at the same time, logistics and production, material shortages, complex technical characteristics were also their weaknesses.